I'd love it if you subscribe to the channel and like this video. My goal is to reach the first 1,000 subscribers. Thank you and enjoy. Before I get into it, here's the practical point of this story. A lot of men miss the early warning signs because the signs don't look like chaos. Sometimes it looks like dinner ready, a clean house, a warm smile, and a woman doing everything right. But respect doesn't live in the presentation. It lives in the timing, the reactions, the tiny pauses, the way a person handles your presence when it interrupts their private routine. This one is about that. How to spot the moment a smile stops matching the meaning. How to test a pattern without turning your home into a courtroom. And how to protect your time, your money, and your peace without yelling, begging, or playing games. Now the story. I came back from Kansas City after a week of logistics meetings and warehouse walkthroughs that all smelled like dust and fluorescent lighting. I'm Danny Morris, 38. I run logistics projects for a regional distributor. The kind of job where everything is numbers until it isn't, until a delay becomes a fight, a missed detail becomes a blame game, and someone always tries to make their problem your emergency. I walked into my house expecting the usual, "You're finally home," in a tired voice, maybe a quick hug, maybe a little complaint about the trash or the neighbor's dog. Normal. Human. Instead, Laura opened the door like she'd rehearsed it. Warm smile. Both hands on my shoulders. Kiss. The house smelled like cinnamon. Dinner already plated. Blanket folded on the couch like a showroom. Movie queued up. Lights set just low enough to look soft, not low enough to look suspicious. Every detail hit the right note. "Hey," she said, bright. "You must be exhausted." I set my bag down and let the moment land. "I'm alive." She laughed at the exact volume you laugh at when you want someone to relax. "I made your favorite." "That's dangerous," I told her. "I might start coming home more." "Good," she said, and the word came out clean. Too clean. The first 24 hours? I enjoyed it. I'm not made of stone. I ate. I watched the movie. I slept in my own bed. I let her run her little welcome home routine. I didn't pick at it. I didn't turn into some paranoid detective because my wife made pot roast and folded a blanket. 2 days later, I was making coffee in the kitchen, my mug, my usual spot, and I said it like a normal fact, no drama. Couple weeks, I might have to head out again. Laura blinked, still smiling. And for half a second, a flash crossed her eyes. It wasn't worry. It wasn't sadness. It wasn't even annoyance. It was relief. Not the kind you get when your husband says the plumbing is fixed. The kind you get when someone tells you the schedule is back in your favor. My body registered it before my brain finished forming the sentence. I looked at her. "You okay?" She answered too fast. "I'm great." Then she started pouring concrete over the moment. "We should go to that restaurant on Maple," she said, already moving. "And we can do walks after dinner and Sunday morning pancakes. And maybe we can plan a little day trip. Just us." I leaned back against the counter and watched her talk. "Laura." She paused. "What? You're building a whole calendar." She gave me a look like I was being cute. "Is that a crime?" "No," I replied. "It's just new. It's called effort," she said, like that settled it. I took a sip of coffee. It tasted fine. The moment didn't. And I remember thinking, if I'd known where it was headed, I would have treated that half second like a siren instead of a weird glitch. That week she turned into the perfect wife in a way that didn't feel like love. It felt like insurance. Every time we were out, she grabbed the check. I'd reach for my wallet, and she'd slide her hand to my shoulder. Soft, public, "Look how supportive I am." "I've got you," she'd say. The first time, I chuckled. "Since when are you my sponsor?" She smiled. "Since you work too hard." The second time, I raised an eyebrow. "You trying to spoil me?" "Maybe," she said. "Maybe you deserve it." By the third time, it wasn't cute anymore. Not because I can't handle my wife paying for dinner. Because it looked like she was stacking up credits. At home, she kept doing the no-seams thing. Laundry handled. Meals timed. Questions asked the way you ask questions when you want to appear interested. "How was your day?" "Same fires, different building." "That sounds stressful." "It pays," I said. She nodded like she was taking notes. Then she'd pivot. "So, about that next trip, do you know the dates?" I kept my voice flat. "Not yet." "Okay," she said, too casual. "Just wondering." "Just wondering." "Sure." A week later, I actually did have a short run to St. Louis. 2 nights, site check, vendor meeting, back home. Normally, Laura would call first. Keep me on the phone until I hit the hotel. That was our routine. Not because I demanded it, because she used to want the line open. This time I texted when I hit the road. On my way? Nothing. Half an hour later, I called. Straight to voicemail. I didn't call again. I don't chase my own wife like I'm trying to win access to my house. 2 hours later, she texted. Sorry. Fell asleep early. It was 8:40 p.m. I stared at the message, then typed. All good. Just checking in. No lecture. No scene. No, why aren't you answering? I logged it like a project risk. Morning came. I called again while walking into the meeting. No answer. An hour later, another text. Phone was on silent. You're funny. Everything's fine. Funny. That word landed wrong. Like I was being needy for expecting basic contact. That's the thing about patterns. One delay is nothing. 2 delays in the same direction is the start of a design. When I got home from St. Louis, the house was a display again. Cinnamon. My shirt ironed like it was going in a catalog. Laura laughed at my jokes, touched my arm, did all the little things that look like marriage from across the street. 2 days later, she asked a question like she was checking the weather. When do you leave again? Not, when will you be home? Not, do we have plans? Not, how can we manage this? When do you leave again? I kept my face calm. Not soon. Might even do the next one remote. I watched her. There was a pause. Small. Real. Like I'd just messed up a schedule. Then the smile snapped back into place. Oh, she said. I was just thinking how to use the time. Use it, I repeated. She laughed like I was playing around. You know what I mean. We can do stuff. I nodded. Yeah, stuff. That was the moment I stopped enjoying the show and started watching the wiring behind the wall. A couple days later, Laura's friend Sarah Blake texted me. We didn't text one-on-one. Ever. Sarah was the type who always had a girls' night plan, always had a smile that looked friendly until you said something she didn't like. Her message was short. Need to see you. Today. It's important. I stared at my phone in my office, the warehouse noise humming behind the walls. My colleague Marcus, who ran routing for our fleet, glanced over. You look like you just got a surprise audit, Marcus said. Something like that. He leaned back in his chair. That a work surprise or a home surprise? I smirked. Home. Marcus lifted his hands like he wanted no part of it. Home surprises are worse. At least work surprises come with spreadsheets. That's what I'm hoping for, I muttered. I met Sarah at a cafe off a busy street, late afternoon. Public place. People around. No drama. Sarah showed up 5 minutes late, sunglasses on, shoulders tense. She slid into the seat across from me like she was about to negotiate a hostage release. Danny, she said, trying for casual. Sarah, I set my phone face down. You don't text me unless there's smoke. She swallowed. There's smoke. I didn't blink. Talk. She exhaled hard. Loris, she's been running her mouth. I tilted my head. About what? Sarah's jaw tightened. About your trips. My trips, I repeated. I'm not a band. I don't have tour dates. This isn't funny, she snapped, then caught herself. Sorry. It's just, she's in this private women's chat. A closed thing. And she's not just venting, Danny. She's narrating. Narrating what? I asked. Sarah looked down at her cup like it could save her. Like play-by-play. Windows. Excuses. Timing. She jokes about how you won't notice because you're always out. I kept my voice low. You're saying she's using my travel schedule as cover for something. Sarah nodded once, stiff. Yes. I didn't ask for labels. I didn't need her to spell it out like a headline. I needed facts. Why are you telling me? I asked, instead of staying out of it like everyone else. Sarah's eyes got glossy, but she didn't cry. She looked angry. At Laura, at herself, at the situation. Because she asked me to lie, Sarah said. I held her gaze. Say it again. She asked me to lie for her. This weekend. She said we were doing a spa day. She wanted me to back it if anyone asked. I let a slow breath out through my nose. Anyone meaning me. Sarah nodded. You. Her mom. Whoever. She wants a clean story. I tapped the table lightly with one finger. Do you have proof of this chat? Sarah's mouth tightened. I took screenshots. Show me. She hesitated. I don't want to be the bad guy. I leaned forward a little. Not threatening. Just firm. Sarah, you already are the bad guy in someone's story. Pick whose story it is. She stared at me for a long moment, then pulled out her phone and slid it across the table. The messages weren't poetry. They were logistics. Times, plans, excuses. Laughing reactions. That little thrill you can feel through a screen when someone thinks they're clever. Laura's name at the top, like a manager posting a schedule. I didn't react. I didn't slam the table. I didn't call anyone names. I just took my phone, took photos of the screenshots, and slid Sarah's phone back. Sarah's voice shook. Say something. I looked at her. You did the right thing by bringing this to me. That's it, she whispered. That's it, I said. I'm not here to perform. I'm here to handle it. Sarah rubbed her forehead. She's going to hate me. I shrugged. She'll survive. And you? Sarah asked. What are you going to do? I stood up, calm. I'm going to stop funding a lifestyle that requires me to be absent. Sarah's eyes widened. Danny. I raised a hand. Don't. I'm not asking you to pick sides. You already picked honesty. That's enough. As I walked out, my phone buzzed. Laura, can you pick up milk on your way home? Slightly smiling face. I stared at that smiley face like it was a test. Then I typed, no, I'm working late. I wasn't working late. I was calling Nolan Reeves. Nolan wasn't some dramatic guy. He was clean-cut, practical, talked like he billed by the syllable. A guy I'd met through a colleague when he handled a contract dispute for our company. He answered on the second ring. Danny, Nolan said. What's going on? I need a clean plan, I told him. No yelling. No messy moves. I have screenshots of conversations and a friend willing to confirm she was asked to cover. Nolan paused. Okay, we keep it simple. Document everything. Don't announce your investigation. Don't create a scene. Get a timeline. I'm not trying to win an argument, I said. I'm trying to exit without losing my shirt. Then you act like it's a project, Nolan replied. Facts. Dates. Behavior. You don't negotiate respect. You enforce boundaries. I almost laughed. You sound like you've been married. He didn't laugh. I've been human. Call me when you're ready to move. That night, I came home and Laura was in her soft wife mode again. She touched my arm. She asked about my day. She offered to make tea like we were in some commercial. I feel like we've been disconnected, she said quietly, eyes big. I don't want that. There it was. The first illusion of change. The gentle concern. The apology without the word apology. I studied her. Disconnected how? She sat beside me, close enough to look sincere. You've been quiet. You've been somewhere else. I nodded slowly. I've been observing. Her smile twitched. Observing what? I let that hang for a second. Us. She reached for my hand. I miss you. I know the trips are hard. I'm trying. I didn't pull away. I didn't lean in. I kept my hand neutral, like a handshake with someone I didn't trust yet. I see the effort, I told her. And I'm adjusting my schedule. Her eyebrows lifted. Adjusting. Less travel, I said. More remote. More time here. For a fraction of a second, her face went blank. Then she recovered. That's great. Yeah, I replied. Great. She kissed my cheek, quick. Maybe we can finally have routines again. Maybe, I said, and my tone made it clear. Routines don't happen by wish. The next day, I made my first real initiative move. No announcement. No debate. I separated my work travel calendar from our shared home board. The board in the kitchen used to have everything. Appointments, grocery lists, my trips, her yoga schedule. I took my trips off it. Quietly. Cleanly. Laura noticed after dinner. Where's your schedule? She asked, casual like it didn't matter. I'm keeping it private, I answered. She blinked. Why? I met her eyes. Because I'm not a public utility. Her laugh was tight. Wow. Okay. New Danny. Same Danny, I said. New rules. She tilted her head. What rules? I rinsed my plate and set it in the dishwasher. If you need to know something that affects you, I'll tell you. Otherwise, you don't need access to every detail of my movement. Her face hardened. That's not how marriage works. I dried my hands on a towel. Marriage works on respect, not surveillance. She stared at me like she was trying to decide which version of me she was dealing with. Are you punishing me? She asked. I smiled once small. No, I'm protecting myself. That night she was quiet. The house stayed pretty, but the air got colder. 2 days later, I set my test. At dinner, I said it like a normal work annoyance. Phoenix. 5 days. Last minute. Laura froze, half a beat. Then she popped back into position. Well, she said quickly. Then we should make the weekend special. I'll plan something nice. I'll miss you. Her words were right. Her timing was wrong. She was already rearranging something in her head. I nodded. I fly out Monday. Okay, she said, too smooth. We'll have a good weekend. We did have a weekend. She turned on the charm like a faucet. She cooked. She touched my arm. She laughed. She suggested photos together. She wanted receipts of happiness. The second illusion of change came in heavy. Over the top. "You're my favorite person," she said one night, curling into me like we were newlyweds. I stared at the TV. "That's a strong statement." She kissed my shoulder. "I mean it." I looked at her. "You're being very invested." She smiled. "Is that bad?" "It's noticeable," I replied. She sat up slightly. "Danny, what is going on with you?" I shrugged. "Maybe I'm just paying attention." Her eyes flashed irritation, then she softened again. "I love you." I didn't say it back that time. Not because I wanted to hurt her. Because I wasn't going to hand over words like they were coupons. Monday morning, I packed a bag like I was leaving. Laura kissed me at the door, held on a second too long. "Text me when you land," she said. "Sure," I replied. I drove away, turned the corner, and kept going. Past the highway ramp, past the airport exit, straight to a small motel on the other side of the city. Not dramatic, just invisible. In the parking lot, I sent Laura 2 photos that looked like an airport terminal. Generic. Anyone could have taken them. Then I texted, "Boarding soon." Then I sat on the edge of a motel bed and waited like a man waiting for a delivery window. Nolan connected me with a private investigator. The guy's name was Wade. Short texts. No emotion. Just confirmed and noted and will update. By that evening, Wade sent the first ping. "Vehicle arrived at your address." Mail. Stayed 47 minutes. Left. I stared at the message. My face didn't change. My stomach didn't drop. It was like getting a report that a shipment arrived damaged. Annoying, predictable, expensive. Wade kept sending updates. Times. Addresses. Photos of a license plate. A timeline that didn't care about anyone's excuses. On day 3, Wade texted, "Subject left home 7:12 p.m. Destination. Address on file. Returned 10:41 p.m. I called Nolan. "I have enough," I told him. Nolan's voice stayed even. "Then you choose your moment. The key is control. You don't arrive in the middle of chaos. You arrive when you can keep your head." "I'm always in my head," I said. "Good," Nolan replied. "Stay there." On day 4, I drove home at 9:30 p.m. No warning. I parked a few houses down, walked up like I lived there, because I did, and used my key. The house was quiet. Lights low. The living room looked staged again. Laura was on the couch with a throw blanket, like a scene ready for my entrance. She looked up and did the surprised but not too surprised face. "Danny," she said. "What?" "I thought you were in Phoenix." I set my bag down. Plans changed. Her eyes flicked over me, quick. Checking for anger. Checking for weakness. Checking for whether she could steer this. She forced a laugh. "You scared me. Why didn't you call?" I walked to the kitchen, picked up a glass on the counter. There was a faint print on it that wasn't mine. I set it down gently. Then I sat across from her like we were at a business meeting. "Let's do this clean," I said. "I'll show you the pattern, and then we'll talk logistics." Laura blinked hard. "What are you talking about?" I pulled out my phone. "I'm going to read dates and times. You can interrupt if you want, but it won't change the list." She sat up straighter. "Are you serious right now?" I looked at her. Dead serious. I scrolled. Saturday, 8:16 p.m. Vehicle arrives. Leaves 9:03. Sunday, 6:54 p.m. Same plate. Monday, while I was in Phoenix, 47 minutes. Tuesday, you leave at 7:12, return 10:41. Wednesday. "Stop," she snapped. I stopped, not because she asked, but because I had what I needed. I watched her face shift through options: confusion, anger, denial, calculation. She tried the first move. "I can explain." I cut her off calmly. "Don't." Her mouth tightened. "So you hired someone to watch me. That's what this is. You're spying." "I'm confirming," I replied. Spying is what people call it when they get caught. She stood up and started pacing, like movement could scramble the facts. "This is insane," she said. "You're being intense." I stayed seated. "You've always liked me intense when it paid your bills." She stopped and stared at me like I'd slapped her with a calendar. I kept going, quiet. "Sarah told me about the chat. About the spa day cover you asked her to provide." Laura's face went flat. "Sarah talked to you?" "Yeah," I said. "She did." Laura scoffed. "Of course she did. She loves drama." She looked sick telling me. I replied, "You're the one who treats lying like a group activity." Laura's eyes narrowed. "You don't know what you're talking about." I tapped my phone once. I have screenshots. She came closer, leaning over the coffee table, voice low and sharp. So what do you want, Danny? A medal? You want me to cry? I want you out of my house, I answered. She blinked. Excuse me. You heard me. I said. You have an hour. Pack what you can carry. Keys on the counter. For a second, she looked like she couldn't process the idea that I wasn't going to argue. Then the mask dropped. Not into sadness. Into contempt. You can't do that, she said. This is my house too. It's not your control center anymore, I replied. She laughed, mean and small. You wouldn't actually go through with it. I stood up. Not fast, not dramatic. Try me. Laura's eyes scanned me again, searching for the old version. Someone who'd explain himself, negotiate, chase her approval. She didn't find him. She changed tactics. Okay, fine. Let's talk like adults. You travel all the time. I was lonely. You expect me to just sit here and... I cut in, steady. Stop selling me a story. Her lip curled. You think you're some prize? I raised an eyebrow. I think I'm a man who pays attention. She stepped closer. You paid for a nice life. You were gone a lot. That made it easy. I like options. I like not being monitored. There it was. Not remorse. Not fear. A confession of entitlement. Said like she was explaining a reasonable preference. I nodded once. Good. Then you'll love being free. Laura's voice turned icy. You're going to regret this. I picked up my phone and texted Nolan one word. Started. Then I called a locksmith. Not a dramatic emergency call. A scheduled service. Calm voice. Need locks changed tonight. Yes, I can wait. Laura stared at me. You're serious. I'm efficient, I corrected. She tried one last jab, the kind meant to scrape your dignity. You really think anyone else is going to put up with you? She said. You think you're easy to live with? I looked at her, almost amused. I'm not trying to be easy. I'm trying to be respected. She opened her mouth, then closed it, because there's no comeback to a man who isn't begging. I walked to my desk in the corner, opened my laptop, and started pausing access to the shared accounts that were under my name. Not petty, not chaotic, just removing my resources from someone who treated them like a subscription. Laura's voice got louder. You're cutting me off? I'm cutting access, I replied. You'll have what you earn and what you can handle, not what you can take. She threw her hands up. This is crazy. No, I said. Crazy is thinking you can run a double schedule in my house and still call me your husband. The locksmith arrived within the hour. Middle-aged guy with a tool bag and zero interest in our drama. He nodded at me, glanced at Laura's suitcase, looked away. Evening, he said. Evening, I replied. Locks, same as discussed. Laura's eyes widened. You're doing this in front of a stranger? I gave her a calm look. It's not a show. It's maintenance. She turned to the locksmith like he was a judge. This is illegal. The locksmith shrugged. Ma'am, I just change locks when the account holder requests it. Laura looked back at me, and for the first time, I saw panic. Not heartbreak. Panic. Like a person losing a comfortable system. She tried to soften again. Quick, like flipping a switch. Danny, she said, suddenly gentle. Please. Let's not do this. We can fix it. I'll do whatever you want. I stared at her for a beat. You already did whatever you wanted. Her eyes flashed anger again. You're enjoying this. I shook my head. I'm finishing it. She grabbed her bag, yanked the zipper, shoved things inside like speed could change reality. At the door, she turned back one last time, trying to regain control with a line she thought would hook me. You'll come crawling back, she said. You don't know how to be alone. I held the door open for her, polite like I was letting a guest out. I know how to be respected, I answered, and I closed the door. No slam, just a clean click. After that, I treated it like any other shutdown procedure. Locks changed, passwords updated, shared access removed. Communication moved to short, written, practical messages only. No late-night talks. No circular arguments. No closure dinners. I wasn't interested in her feelings about the consequences. I was interested in my peace. A few months later, my life looked different in the best way. I moved into a smaller place with more light and less noise. I got back into the gym consistently, not as a therapy session, as a routine. Work improved because my head wasn't split. I started spending Sundays with Marcus and a couple guys from the warehouse, grilling, watching games, talking about normal problems. And I met someone new. Not a rescue. Not a rebound trophy. A steady woman who didn't treat my schedule like a cheat code. We took things slow. We laughed. The house felt calm, not curated. As for Laura, I heard pieces through mutual circles. Nothing dramatic. Just the quiet decline that happens when the foundation walks away. She lost the comfortable setup, lost the control of the home base, lost the status of being Mrs. Morris at events where people used to smile at her like she was part of my stability. And that's the part men need to understand. When someone is attached to your resources more than your presence becomes an inconvenience. Here's what I took from it, and what I'd tell any man at a table with a cold coffee and that same confused look I had. First, pay attention to the micro-reactions. Not the words, not the dinner, not the performance. The half-second pause. The relief when you say you're leaving. The way they rush to bury a moment with plans and sweetness. That's not romance. That's schedule management. Second, don't argue with a pattern. Test it. Quietly. Cleanly. When I took my travel schedule off the shared board, it wasn't to punish her. It was to see if she cared about me or about access to my movements. When I announced the Phoenix trip, it wasn't a game. It was a controlled check. A man who stays calm can learn more in 2 minutes than a man who rants for 2 hours. Third, the big mistake would have been talking it out in circles. Endless discussions feed the person who benefits from confusion. Another mistake would have been trying to win her back with more effort. You can't outwork disrespect. You can only outgrow it. When the facts landed and she went cold instead of accountable, that was the real answer. And the only move left was a clean consequence. Respect and boundaries beat comfort every time. Not because comfort is bad, because comfort without respect turns you into a funded background character in your own life. I didn't leave with a speech. I left with a plan. And once I did, my life got quieter, stronger, and a whole lot more honest. So, that's the end of this story. Since you made it to the end, it seems it kept your interest. Subscribe to the channel to stay updated on future videos, and feel free to explore the other stories too. Thanks, and have a great day.